Confidence isn't just how you look, it's how you feel. From subtle, natural aesthetics to personalized wellness care, everything we do is intentional. This is beauty with purpose. At Vibe Men's Health, we take that same approach. We focus on what matters most: strength, energy, and performance. Built on real data, real medicine, and real results, we're here to help you look better, feel stronger, and live fully. Come vibe with us today.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 9.
Welcome in Mississippi Live Weather 9. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Waupun on this Thursday, a dry day, but rain chances come back over the next couple of days. I think for tomorrow they remain pretty limited, and I think we'll start the day. It's been most of the day probably pretty dry, and I guess most of us will probably be dry tomorrow. Temperatures expected to go from about 59 at 10 p.m. down to 53 at 1 o'clock in the morning, into the upper 40s as we look toward early tomorrow. So one of the cooler days we have going forward to start your Friday. But from there, I think we probably build toward the 80s in this upcoming weekend, so warming things up a bit. The little blanket of cloud cover out there in West Point this evening, and same shot kind of at most locations there, 60 right now in West Point. That cloud cover high and thin, and appreciate the North Mississippi Storm Chasers for working with us on this camera network here across North Mississippi, as well as the Department of Transportation there. 61 in Columbus, so pretty common there around the Golden Triangle, with somewhere around the 60-degree point, and Macon coming in about 59. Winds are fairly calm. That's not, of course, precipitation. That's bugs showing up on that camera there. Reminder that even with the cool temperatures, we haven't got rid of those, have we? Right now, coming in about 59 in Tupelo, 57 Amory. It's 58 in Greenwood, and somewhere in the lower 60s out here in the Delta, with the exception of Belzona still coming in at 66 as of the 9 o'clock hour. Mama Justice Doppler radar does not have really any precipitation out there. High pressure is in control. Sinking air, clear skies, the story with that. That despite the fact that we had obviously some active weather last night. Latest reports coming in from the National Weather Service in Jackson, in case you missed it, at 9 o'clock. Of course, we had tornado reports last night. South Mississippi, some pretty significant tornado reports there earlier on. We're now within the last 24 hours, so that's why those start kind of dropping off the map there. It only kind of holds on for a full 24-hour period. But some of those reports coming in, including in Covington County, an EF1 tornado with a path length of about 2 miles, another 3-mile path length there in Marion County, Jefferson Davis County, another 3-mile tornado with an EF0 rating. And the big tornadoes that we had here, the ones that were south of Brookhaven, they're close to around Bude and Monticello. Those were up in the EF2 to EF3 range. They are still doing surveys, so not a final survey there. We did not have a final survey before the tornadoes that were there near the Purvis area as well. We hope to get one of those as they go out and visit those locations tomorrow. So it does take the Weather Service a little time to do that. Believe it or not, in 2025, 2026, whatever year this is, you still have to go and do damage surveys to determine how strong those were. And so they're unfortunately doing that because the damage has been very bad, unfortunately, there. So our prayers with those folks down in South Mississippi again this evening. So with sinking air and high pressure, the story, you would think completely dry. And for the most part, that is the case. You didn't see any rainfall down here. Most of this that we show up here from Nacogdoches there back toward Winter and out toward Crystal Springs, that is all just pretty much non-existent, making it the ground. The sprinkle, maybe, and probably overdoing that a little bit as well. We show one little sprinkle maybe getting there toward around Macon, as close as really any moisture gets to us. The thing I think is more important on this is the fact, you see, we start clearing out from the high clouds near the Tennessee state line, and that will help those temperatures to drop just a little bit closer for some spots up there in the morning. A few sprinkles starting to show up back out there into Arkansas by around 9 to 10 o'clock. You see those getting a little closer there toward around Winona and Grenada by around noon. Again, this is sprinkles. That's probably about it. And even that's probably overselling it just a little bit as we look toward the midday time period for tomorrow. So over the next 24 hours, after starting off around 50, our winds start shifting back to the south, and that starts bringing a little more moisture back. That's why as we go into the afternoon, into the evening, it's more likely to get some of those sprinkles down to the ground. A few isolated showers possible on your Friday afternoon, but a lot of us are probably going to end up being dry until maybe Friday evening. And even then, our chances of rainfall remain pretty limited for tomorrow. Now, come up here in 60 seconds, we will look at where the rain is just rain, and where it could be some storms that figure in with this as well. We're not likely to really see severe weather chances, but we will look at the severe weather risk areas going into this upcoming weekend right after this break as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center in 60 seconds.
I have been going to Tupelo Smiles my whole life. When I was a kid, I was unhappy about some uneven coloring on my teeth after getting my braces off, which at the time there really wasn't a fix. I was recently made aware of a solution that would totally fix it, which is exactly what we did. They not only heard my concerns, but they never stopped looking to solve my problem, and that's why I love Tupelo Smiles.
When C.K. Little opened his doors in downtown Corinth nearly 80 years ago, his plan was simple: deliver excellent service and exceed expectations. That's why we say a little gift goes a long way.
We can see the lowering. We're going to have a good shot at that as it approaches the Rienzi area. Tornado warning now issued. We'll do a push alert behind the scenes for folks here up here in Alcorn County. Rotation on this thunderstorm increasing to the point back into Tippah County as well, where the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for your locations.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lobhon.
Hey, thank you so much for supporting us here on Mississippi Live Weather at 9. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon. We thank you so much for all the support that you give us all the time here on what has been a more tranquil day here in the Room to Room Weather Center. Not a lot of complaints about the weather here across North Mississippi. What we are tracking, though, is kind of this big storm system. You can see I shouldn't have come in so quickly here. This big old dip we see here in the subtropical jet stream going around a system that's just been kind of cut off here back toward the west coast. It's going to spit a couple little areas of energy out. There's one there back there toward Texas. That will bring us our limited rain chances for tomorrow. It'll kind of keep kicking out another wave or so as we go into this upcoming weekend. And until it really dislodges, we're going to continue to have at least limited chances for some rainfall. I think into next week that finally gets out of the way, and that's less of an issue. We still have kind of a string of frontal systems back to the north that will kind of utilize everything that this brings into play. Let's bring it back a little closer here, and we'll change it back over to Mama Justice Doppler radar, kind of looking at that national radar perspective on there. Oop, I clicked and moved a little more than I meant to. There we go. They're back on the radar. There's really not much out there, despite the fact this is going to have another little wave and get going back out here into Texas. We're going to look at Storm Finder, which is something that helps us look where thunderstorms are possible. As you can see down toward the coast, that's where some of those are going to be possible. More on that in a moment, but I want to go back for just a second to show the risk areas for severe weather the next couple of days. There are at least limited risks there, but for most of us, that's a non-issue. For today, those risks have been down there toward the coast. No existing risk still at this time. That's all been eliminated. As we look for tomorrow's risk, it's primarily back to the west. And again, utilizing that first wave or that next wave coming off of that low pressure center. And then as we look toward your Saturday, a couple of chances. Again, another one of those waves takes it back out here to the plains. And then a more limited risk down here closer to, say, Jackson and the coast. Now, the question would be, how far north could this expand the next couple of days? I think most indications are down south is where there's the greatest chance. This is not likely to get up here to, say, a level 3 risk like what we had yesterday as far as severe weather is concerned, but there is at least a chance we could have some storms. So now let's go back here to Storm Finder, something you'll see only on Mississippi Live. And as we go throughout the next, say, 12 to 24 hours, you'll notice down here to the south, that's where we're going to have rain and some storms that do end up forming. The way Storm Finder works is we look for the combination where those purples are showing up, where the lightning is more significant, and where the storms are more significant as well. That combination tells us where severe weather is most likely. And while we do show the reds there indicating where we have some thunderstorms that have developed and shown up there on Storm Finder, most of them are not producing a lot of consistent lightning. So we'll have some showers up here in North Mississippi tomorrow. Southern portion of the area, and by that I mean south of US 82, we'll most likely see some of the showers there between that and down, honestly, south of I-20. That rain continues into tomorrow evening in a very patchy fashion, but a lot of us are fairly dry. Looking, though, beyond that, as we look toward your Saturday, this is one thing that remains to be seen, in my opinion. This big complex here on our strike model has been pretty evident the last couple runs, trying to show this slide closer to us here as we go into the pre-dawn hours here of early Saturday morning. I think this is overdone. We'll look at our HRRR model related to this coming up here in a couple of minutes, but it definitely shows a pretty decent complex of storms and heavy rainfall, lightning, all that sort of stuff arriving late tomorrow night and pre-dawn early Saturday morning. Probably below severe levels, could have some gusty wind and certainly heavy rainfall with that as that rolls through. Note as far as, your utilized portion of the day is concerned. Obviously, most people get out on the weekend in the afternoons. You have the rainfall around early there, and then that does diminish somewhat as we head into the day on Saturday. Not impossible to pop something else up, but if we do get those showers kind of that quickly and they exit that quickly, hopefully that means that clear things for most of your Saturday. Saturday night we're dry, and then by Sunday, notice as we head toward the afternoon, another wave coming in from the north and west, a little bit of lightning with that. It does have heavy rainfall with it, but you'll notice the timing here in the afternoon more likely to probably impact some of your plans. So that's where we're going with a heavier percentage of rainfall on Sunday, because ultimately it's the usable part of the day where we have a more likely time period to see it. And then some of those chances extend into late Sunday night and early Monday morning before that's kind of out of here. And then after that, I think we've got the waves of this storm system out of here, and we should dry things on out. So looking over the weekend, I think both days we're going to have some rain chances there. It's mainly early Saturday and then in the afternoon time period on Sunday. So don't be shocked if you have some rainfall mess up some of your plans. But if we're trying to find the holes in that, we're definitely thinking that it's probably going to be the early part of Sunday and the latter part of Saturday that we're most likely to probably see dry conditions for your weekend. So keep that in mind if you have some outdoor plans that you're thinking about. Futurecast, keeping it dry though tonight, as you can see here, just cloudy skies out there. Looks like it went back a graphic on me, so let's go. There we go. No, apparently double click is going to go back. That's interesting. That's a new trick. There we go. I'm trying to get to the morning lows. We made it. Hey, and if you make it to tomorrow morning, hopefully you have a jacket handy for about that long. It will be kind of cool to begin the day, but it's not going to stay overly chilly throughout. Upper 40s there for lows on your Saturday morning. Friday morning. I'm all ready for Saturday, right? By Saturday, we're milder, 55, 59 that low by Sunday. More rain and maybe a few more of those thunderstorms on Sunday before we drop things a little bit more into next week. So a couple days, we're still in the 40s here, as it's just a reminder that, believe it or not, we are still in spring, and school bus forecast indicates that again for tomorrow morning, as we have temperatures that will be down in the upper 40s, what it feels like at pickup, 75 degrees at drop off, and appreciate IMPC for sponsoring our school bus forecast. So Futurecast, again, dry throughout the day. Chances for rainfall do increase a little bit more into the afternoon and evening, as we showed you a moment ago there, mainly for locations, again, south of US 82. Not expecting this to really add up to much, but again, there are a few showers there. We'll have an updated look at our HRRR model coming up at 10 o'clock on Mississippi Live Weather. This one takes a little bit longer to get in, so we don't have all that data quite in place yet. So Friday, mid-70s out there tomorrow for the high temperatures. That puts us a little bit below that 81 typically expect for this time of the year, and obviously nowhere near the record high temperature for the date. So mostly clear, mostly dry here Friday, 9 p.m. Remember what we had, though, coming in Friday night, looking at the last model, looking at Strike. It had that kind of big complex. Notice what it doesn't have back out here toward Oklahoma on our HRRR. It just does not have that really formed. So with that in mind, give me a moment. I'm going to take this in. I'll see if we can force it to the newest model run, which it doesn't typically like at this time. It might be just a little early, but I want to see if we've got just enough. Well, now hold on. We might have just enough. And again, you do show some heavier storms back there into Oklahoma. Watch how this changes it over now. It has a few less of those storms. So an indication that perhaps, again, Strike could be overdoing the amount of storms just a little bit for late tomorrow night. So we'll go ahead and save that and put that back into play mode here. We'll go ahead and roll on through this to see if we can get a complex tracking eastward out of this. So it does have more storms there. Again, 9, 10 p.m. That does maybe look a little bit more organized there. As that kind of moves out of the north and west, it shows most of those weakening before they make their way into Arkansas. So it happens a different way, but we have, I think, some fuel around, and that will lead to some thunderstorm chances late Friday night and early Saturday morning. On this particular version of Futurecast, you can see it's more what we call warm air advection. We just have moisture coming up from the Gulf, and we get a spot here where it lifts enough that we activate with some showers and storms. Greenville, Hollandale there, and then kind of expanding in coverage. Now, what there is I think agreement on both these projections about is that these storms do get a bit heavier. That is a trend upward in the heaviness by early Saturday morning. Perhaps some gusty winds with these, because that does look like it becomes more of a little bow echo there. I'm just not convinced we're going to have quite enough fuel. That is another thing we'll evaluate at 10 o'clock there, whether or not this has enough fuel to really get up and start producing some strong to severe wind gusts. But as we showed you a moment ago, at least a limited severe weather threat for the pre-dawn hours there of early Saturday morning. For your Saturday, most of that threat, again, is to the south. Low temperatures, about 54 degrees in Boonville, and for Corinth, early Saturday morning, 57 Eupora, 59 Greenwood, and some 60s down for Greenville and Belzona, a sign of that, again, increased moisture somewhat. Now, I'm going to have to, again, force this probably out of its current mode and into the updated mode again, because it does look like our data came in just fast enough. Maybe I talked a little slower tonight. Sometimes that happens. See, there's a lot more on that. So that is a trend upward, which does kind of match strike a little bit more. So for planning purposes, this does have the rainfall kind of lingering slightly longer early Saturday. So we put this back into play and kind of evaluate its position. Again, it's mostly out of here by, say, 8 to 9 o'clock. But if you're down here, Canton, back toward Philadelphia, Forest, obviously this is more significant for you in the length of time that's around 9 o'clock through this shows maybe even to noontime in some spots there. So Saturday, we're going to have to take that percentage up, I think, by our 10 o'clock broadcast. Or if you give me a moment, I'm just going to go ahead and fix that right here before we even get to the 7-day forecast. I think early Saturday, that's enough that we need to probably be up about 30% instead of 20%. So that is a slight adjustment up. So we'll go ahead and save that there. Again, we'll have that for you here in a moment. By midday and afternoon, most of the rain chances are moving south and east of us, and we should conceivably be drying things out a little bit more as we head through Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. Not impossible to see something. So again, our rain chance does not go to 0 this weekend, but we're trying to, again, find the holes in that where we're more likely to be able to get you out and get you into your outdoor activities okay. Certainly looks like in the afternoon is probably the driest time period for a lot of us, or at least midday to afternoon, and high temperatures in through the lower 80s. By Saturday night, a few sprinkles still remain, but mostly dry conditions for most of North Mississippi, even central Mississippi as well. But notice how this front just kind of doesn't move, right? It's just sitting there. That could again allow it to be one of those activation points for a few showers and storms looking into your Sunday. We don't have an official severe weather threat, anything like that for Sunday. And Sunday will again, start off pretty dry, we think, but rain chances could increase a bit more by afternoon. I'm skipping over the low temperatures so I can keep the same spot here. Hold on. And that, for one reason or another, got me all the way back to Friday. Well, I go clicking the wrong thing here. Hey, y'all, I apologize. Apparently, I'm just off tonight. My brain has taken the night off. So I appreciate you'll stick with me. You'll see how that front there kind of washes out by, say, a 9 a.m. Sunday. Most of the rain chances, most of the storm chances to the south of us, but we do have a few trying to pop up in northern Mississippi by around noontime there and should start to go along our front. So our coverage of rain kind of increasing a little bit more into the afternoon as mainly this wave comes here out of Arkansas. Though this is a little bit slower than what we're looking at 5 and 6 o'clock. I still think there's at least enough rain chances out there that I would be planning something indoor, certainly the latter part of your Sunday and the Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening where we'll have some of that going on there as well. So here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We adjusted up that rain chance on Saturday. That rain chance on Sunday looks a little bit lower at some of the latest data we were showing you just a moment ago there. You saw first here. And then we're mid-70s by Monday, drier Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday of next week. More limited chances for anything by that point in time there. But the next day or so, tomorrow, still probably some 70s out there. So a little bit warmer than today. And we will have some scattered showers in really southern portion of the area, a possibility with that there. Let's bring up the chat again for folks here behind the scenes and appreciate everyone for kind of watching this evening, Betty and everybody else. Somebody want to know about any bad weather for Jackson, Tennessee the next 10 days. Let's go ahead and try to answer that here for a moment. Probably the best way to do that is using something we like to call the crossover. If you've watched us for a while, you know kind of what this looks like here. I think we might be able to get, we're probably gonna have to go back to 12Z crossover to be able to pull this up. This is kind of the overlap of a number of different things. It's not just blue. Blue indicates strong winds, and you go aloft, we've got plenty of those, but we luckily do not have fuel, hence the reason we do not have significant and active weather now. The crossover evaluates fuel, strong winds at the lower and upper levels, and helps us to kind of figure out whether or not we're going to have some storms there. So this is the crossover where we have less strong upper level winds over us looking into your weekend. As you'll note, there is some fuel creeps back up in. We do have some of those winds there, but most of the fuel is down south. We have a bit more of that to the west. I think there's enough here that we will get some thunderstorms both Saturday and Sunday. And it is possible that maybe there's just enough to produce some strong thunderstorms. But the upper levels are not perfect for that. This angle that we have in this upper level trough is kind of the wrong direction here. Where it's slanted from southwest to northeast. We call that a positive tilt. When it's going the opposite direction there, we call it negative. We look for something up and down or negative when we're more likely to see strong, severe thunderstorms on any kind of widespread scale. That's not the angle with this. And then behind this, see how these winds are all northwest. I'll go ahead and bring it full screen here again for a moment for you. These winds are all northwest, and that is going to help it to continue to drag in the drier air and keep that drier air in place. That's why Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, the pattern definitely not shaped in a way that we would expect anything anywhere around here that is strong to severe. Going toward the latter part of the week, though, we start to see fuel come back somewhat. We have a ridge. That's what this kind of hill-looking thing is there. That's kind of a ridge. That should try to suppress most of our rain and storm chances here. Even on the plains, they're going to be still fairly spotty in nature. That fuel gets a little bit more pronounced as we head toward not this coming Saturday, but a week from Saturday. Well, we do have a few little ripples coming in here. This is not our typical spring-like pattern. Maybe we could have just enough there by the time this plays out to have some storms. I think it's not unreasonable to have some rainfall and storms a week from Monday there up into Tennessee. Of course, that was a question specifically Jackson, Tennessee. I think this pattern here, what we call a blocking pattern or omega, kind of looks like that Greek symbol omega right there, omega block. That is one that is going to probably keep us fairly dry for quite a while. It takes a while till that fiery colors, that fuel starts to get back here. I mean, come on, we're all the way to May 21st and it's not really showing a whole lot here. So the headline on that pattern is there's not a lot out there beyond the kind of spotty stuff the next couple of days. And if you're up there in Jackson, Tennessee, like that person was, I think most of that, again, is going to stay to your south. So hopefully answering that question for you. Appreciate everybody for watching us here. Our Ethan Foster at 10 o'clock is going to have the latest on our Mississippi Live Game of the Week presented by Casey Lott. He's sending in his highlights now. I'm going to get those up and ready to go so we can show those to you coming up here in about 35 minutes in the Room to Room Weather Center. So we'll see you at 10 o'clock. And thank you all for supporting us here on Mississippi Live, whether it's just downloading the apps or telling your friends about it or supporting the sponsors that support us. So we just appreciate everything that you do that allows us to continue to do this. So anyway, y'all have a great night. We'll see you in a little bit.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.